We're joined here at this table by Denver Public Works Director Eulois Cleckley. You've been on the job 3 months now.
Yes.
All right. So for better or for worse, what has surprised you?
Well, one, Denver's a great city. I think what has surprised me actually is that the people are very nice here. With regards to the departments, I'm very impressed with the over 1,300 employees that we currently have. Their dedication, their passion, and their mindset that's really focused on providing public service. Our department really is set up in a fashion to make sure that we are building out infrastructure and we're providing services that make the lives of the people that live within the city and county of Denver, as well as the individuals that come into the city, much more better. So it is, I'm very excited about being in this particular position, and I've been very impressed with the current staff that we have.
So you have a transportation background. The
Yes.
mayor wants to split public works and focus one department on transportation. This is going to take a while to get going, and you've got to oversee this process. But I'd like to focus on transportation in this discussion with you. What do you think are some big, audacious goals that could be accomplished on a fairly short time frame for the city of Denver, 3 to 5 years, when it comes to transportation mobility?
Right. So we are the implementing department for the mayor's mobility action plan. And so that's a very aggressive, far-reaching and visionary document. It outlines some overarching goals for us as a city as it relates to choice. And transportation and mobility is really about choice. And our role in making sure that we are building out our infrastructure is to provide those multitude of choices for the residents of the city and county of Denver, as well as the people that come into work.
What if the choice is somebody just wants to drive their car around?
Yeah, that absolutely is a choice. So it's really about balance, right? So first is choice, second is balance. And so we as a department, we have a set of policies that we're really focused on that includes managing and mitigating congestion, which is really what people always complain about. And I always say that traffic is really not the issue. Traffic means more people are coming in. That's not a bad thing. The bad thing is the delay that a lot of individuals are caught up in because they have limited mobility choices. And so with our department being the implementing department for the Mayor's Mobility Action Plan, we're really focused on providing more accessible transportation options, so improving our infrastructure to allow people to walk in a convenient and safe manner. If individuals choose to use a bike as a mode of transportation, to provide that solid bike infrastructure to provide those connections. But also if people do choose to drive, making sure that we have corridors that are set up in a fashion to move traffic in an efficient manner. So
you've made the personal choice not to have a car.
That's correct.
Do you think more people would be better off making that same choice?
I think it's an option that works for me. I'm luckily enough to live off of a route that's 3 bus lines. It's very easy and convenient for me to get to work. I also use it to go sort of extracurricular activities, go to the mall, go to church, things of that nature. So it works for me. My scenario, I think, can work for a lot of individuals within the city. However, not everybody is set up in that fashion. And so that's why it's key that we have a multitude of options that's available for every single citizen within the city.
So for anybody who thinks that the city of Denver is out to pry their car keys from their cold, dead hands, you're not looking to force the choice on people.
That's correct. It's about availability. And we, at this point, as an example for the fact that we have a goal to try to increase transit usage up to 15% of the overall mode share. Right now it's about 6 to 7%. We only have 78% of the residents that live within a quarter mile of a bus stop or a half a mile within a rail station. So we want to see 100% of our residents to have that accessibility. In that particular instance, we definitely will believe that that would improve the amount of opportunities that residents will be able to take transit, but it doesn't negate them from being able to take another mode.
Is it inherent that if you make the city friendlier to transit, it has to become unfriendlier to single occupant vehicles?
No, in my personal view, it doesn't. I think, again, it's about a balance. And the balance is important because when you invest or you have a system that is only supportive of one particular mode, it creates congestion and pinch points within the overall system. And so that's why it's important that we need to build out all of our infrastructure to provide that choice for everybody so we can smooth out the traffic along our transportation network.
So a lot of this happened before you came to town, but I know, being a student of transit systems around the country, I'm sure you were watching the rollout of the A-Line, the Train to the Plane, RTD's project.
Yes.
Do you think that the struggles that train had, I know it's not your department's project, but do you think the struggles that train had negatively impacted the public's perception of these big transit projects? Well,
for any project, whether it's transit or whether it's a roadway project, you always have challenges. And so that's just part in the nature of our work. Ultimately, once a project gets built, I think there's maximum benefit that's always realized to the general public. And so even though there might have been challenges with that specific project, I don't think that would dampen the need that people would have to be able to use that type of transit to be able to get around the city.
Do you think it dampens voters' enthusiasm to be willing to spend big money on big projects in the future? Well,
that's not what we've seen. So as reference to that, the $937 million GO bond package that was passed last year is a reflection of the general public's thirst and hunger for more of these transportation options. We have $55 million that's associated with a bus rapid transit corridor project along Colfax. And so as we move forward as a city, as we continue to grow, there's going to be much more of an appetite to make sure that the city and the department is providing those types of alternative transportation options.
I have an uncomfortable question for you. So we have reported here on this program that former Public Safety Director Stephanie OMalley is going to be paid out of the Public Works budget. And there's criticism that the mayor is making work for her because she's the daughter of former Mayor Wellington Webb. Can you tell me, because she's getting paid out of your budget, what she is going to be doing that somebody else wasn't doing for a whole lot less money?
Yeah, well, I'm not familiar with all the details of that. However, I know that she's going to be playing a critical role as we move forward in terms of understanding how growth impacts the city, how gentrification and displacement impacts the city. And so I would say that's all I'm pretty much privy to. And these things happen where you have budgets that are utilized to fund positions, but she's going to continue to play a critical role for the administration.
You mentioned gentrification. As somebody who is new to this city, what's your view of Denver's gentrification situation and how the city's handling it?
So quite frankly, I've been very impressed with how the administration has been aggressive with sitting down with the community and sitting down with all of the departments to understand how are we developing approaches to mitigate the negative impact of growth. Right?
Can I ask you a question? When you sit down with folks in the community, do you sit down with people who are mad at you? Because the knock on the mayor is that he likes to sit down with people who agree with him. Do you get people who really disagree with you in these community meetings?
That's a part of the job. So you're always going to have individuals that might be in support of what you have going on as far as an agenda is concerned, but you're always going to have individuals that have a concern. And so we don't shy away from that. Our department doesn't. That's part of making sure that we have a robust approach to getting and receiving public input, because both sides are valid, and we take those concerns into consideration as we move forward with specific projects. So we don't shy away from that type of attention.
We have 2 more minutes. I want to squeeze in 2 more questions. How easy is it in your first 3 months here to get things done in Denver in terms of red tape and bureaucracy compared to where you've worked before, Houston and DC?
Yeah, so here, because we have a lot of control over our budgets, we have done, I believe, what I've seen in my short period of time, a very good job of identifying what a resource need is, and then attaching either a budget or personnel to be able to address that resource need. Even though I work on the public sector, I don't like to be termed as a bureaucrat because that means that you're focused on process as opposed to delivering projects. And my role here is to make sure that we have the right people in the right place, we have the right processes to help us be as efficient as possible, and we deliver the best projects for the residents that live and work in the city.
Last question for you. Vision Zero is one of the city's projects in coordination with CDOT. The goal is 0 traffic fatalities and serious injuries by the year 2030. That's 12 years away. When I hear 0 is the goal, I think of former Mayor Hickenlooper, now Governor Hickenlooper's goal of 0 people homeless in the city. That was a flop. When you set the bar impossibly high, don't you guarantee some kind of public failure?
I respectfully disagree. And I'll give an example. For our vision as a department, we want to be the most ideal department within the country. We chose that vision for a purpose because it's really focused on trying to achieve perfection. In the safety realm, our goal is 0 fatalities on our roadways. I don't think anything above that is acceptable. And so we've seen a decrease from 2016 to 2017. We had 61 fatalities on our roadways in 2016. We had a lump sum 10 number drop in 2017 down to 51 fatalities on the roadways.
First drop in a number of years.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. And so we're going to be more aggressive. That's part to how we've identified some of the funding that's needed to build out safety treatments on a lot of our high injury network roads. And we're going to continue to be focused on that till we get to a point where we have 0 fatalities that's recorded for those who are traveling or walking or taking transit or biking on our infrastructure.
Denver's new Public Works Director, Eulois Cleckley, on the job for 3 months. Thank you for coming by. Look forward to having you back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.